Alrighty, guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Rundown, brought to you by GSA, the Global Speedrun Association. All right, guys, so we are here back from PACE. PACE 2019 just happened, one of the first live competitive speedrunning events that was run by none other than GSA, and I only have awesome things to say about it. But I want to know from ALT first. What do you think about the show from a viewer's perspective or the
Okay.
event?
Yes. Because sadly, I couldn't go, which was really
Yeah,
hurt. But I was
yeah.
in Japan. But let's talk about. I haven't said much on anything on this Discord, Twitter, or anything because I want to kind of save for the show. So really, when and of course I was looking forward to it. Of like a lot of people were like when it first started, man. That really hit me. It really was the thing that hit me was the most was when before the first match, the stats came up and that was like, oh my
Mhm.
god, man! I was like, this is so, like, this is real, right? That's what maybe really felt like, wow, this is real. This is a real competitive speedrun event that's live and it's happening
Yeah.
right now. That really hit me hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely tears came out a little bit. I was like, oh my god, this is
Wow.
real. And the chat was going off like the chat was so hyped too, getting ready for it, And then it was just really that was awesome feeling I haven't felt in a long time. We're just wow, this is something that's really new and cool. Just so
Mhm.
something I've wanted to see for so long, and just to see it here happen, it was real. That was awesome. So we're gonna talk about pace a lot. Obviously, the show it's kind of the
Yeah,
pace
of
roundup
course.
kind of show. So before we get to that, though, we're gonna bring later in the show. We're bringing in Simply in here, Big Simp, did commentating the whole time for pace, and also Milo, one of the organizers. They're coming and have a little round table. We talk about the good points, bad points, everything. But for now, let's get into the other kind of hey, speedrunning
Mhm.
has a lot of things in pace, so let's get into that
Some
first. So
news coming up.
yeah, sure. So first, let's talk about sadly some sad news. We have to mention it though because it is one of the games that GSA does a lot.
Mhm.
Celeste, right? So Celeste recently had some interesting is not the right word, but sad news, really. Cheese, what do you know about that? What can you share with us about that?
So as you guys probably know by now, Celeste has had a new world record of 27:43. Uh, Unfortunately, it was deemed spliced. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna name him here on the show, but you guys will probably figure that out yourselves. His run was officially spliced. Really sad news. This has been something that's been happening a lot. We've been seeing this a lot, ALT, and not only now, but since speedrunning has started, there's been so many cases of this. His run was spliced. They found out by looking at the screen in the menu after he finished the game. Can you give me? Do you know exactly what it was that kind of was made the stamp that
Yeah,
of
something about. I'm not sure. I'm not the biggest Celeste. I've never played Celeste. I just watch a lot of it. But yeah, something about the berries and one of the one screen there was supposed to be a berry, there wasn't a berry, something like that. Something like that. I could be totally wrong with that.
yeah,
Anyways, really doesn't matter. They found it right, and it was
yeah,
it's so crazy to me. I'll ask you because you are the person that has had world records before, and you know what that feels like.
yeah,
Is it what is so great about it that it's worth cheating for? You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. What's the end game, right? Because it's not like there's $1,000 prize if you get the Celeste world record, right? So I can get if
yeah.
there's a monetary goal, but what do you think the goal is? Why do you think people cheat still? What do you get out of it? You think in 2019?
The thing is, I'm gonna be honest. I don't. There is nothing that you can get out of it positively. Um, you will. There has been nobody. Well, actually, probably there's still some,
Yeah.
but most people that, especially in a popular game like this, you are gonna get caught. There's no way you're gonna get away with splicing a world record run, especially a world record
Mm-hmm.
run. You know, just like that, it's not gonna get away. And I don't, and I wouldn't know what they feel personally by doing something like that. I don't know how someone could feel like, oh, I just spliced to a record and I feel so good. Look, my name is in number one, but I know that it's totally fake and I didn't actually do it. Like, how is that a good feeling?
Yeah.
But in saying that, I just have to mention the fact that, I mean, people take easy ways out. People take the easy way out. Um, but I don't think you could blame a lot of them because, talking in depth here, I do think it has to do with what they've taught growing up. I think a lot of it has to do with not a lot of people nowadays, especially younger people, I guess you could say the millennials,
Yeah.
they don't they don't a lot of them don't understand that greatness and achievements take time and effort. A lot of the people now, they can't bear to understand that things take time. And people that, especially that grow up never getting turned down or never getting said no, they can't understand that. So when they want something and they get tired of trying after a month, they get fed up and they resort to these um, means of getting false recognition, I guess.
Mm.
And then it just bites them in the butt,
Yeah,
it
yes.
always does.
It's I guess what can we do to stop it, right? That's the question. Speedrunning. What can you do to stop cheating, right? So obviously you can't stop people from doing it. There's no, I mean, it's just gonna happen. It's been with speedrunning forever, right? Since the beginning of
Hmm.
time. First runs that were on, what I'm talking about, Speed Demo's Archive. Some of those were
Yeah.
spliced, that long ago, and it went all the way to now. I mean, that's just something they're gonna do. So what can you do to stop that? Well, interestingly enough, about this case, there was no audio on the file on the video for some reason, and I don't know why that doesn't raise any red flags for anyone. It seems awkward not to have audio in 2019 right now, right? It's not it's a big issue to record your audio too, in my opinion. But I don't know. You have anything more to add to that? I don't know too much about the Celeste, guidelines and rules, submission
Well,
policy.
what
But
I do know is that what I do know is since they've found that splice run, they've now obviously discussed and updated the ways of looking over the leaderboards. They already decided that they're going to have more moderators looking over the leaderboards. They have more rules in place that they're going to make sure that won't, that at least if it happens again, there would be more precaution taking place, especially if a run is, because a lot of people say and that they feel embarrassed when they want to suspect a run of being fake,
mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like it's an accusation, and you kind of want to stay away from accusations.
Yeah,
But the truth is, when you have a feeling that a run is fake, you cannot be afraid to bring it up to the attention of a moderator or at least somebody to like, hey, can you please look over this run? This just does not look right. You could see here that something just looks wrong here. And speedrunners have imagination, man. Some of these splice runs were insane. The lengths that people would go through to splice runs. So if
yeah.
you have a feeling, don't be afraid to reach out to a moderator. Tell them this doesn't look right. We need somebody overlooking this run. So I'm 100% sure that the Celeste community has this covered, and well, they're just going to be moving forward from this.
Yeah, and I guess the last point before you say there's good ways to do that and bad ways, right? Going on Twitter saying, "Hey, this run is fake" is not the best way. If you're serious about, if you really think someone's wrong, like Cheese said there, talk to a moderator first. Hey, send a message on Discord. It's so easy now. Like, hey, check this one out.
Mm.
A little bit weird. And one thing I guess to finish this up, it seems like even if let's say someone's goal is to get that notoriety, to get like that little boost of viewers, right? I think the Twitch audience loves to see the grind to the goal way more than just the goal. So like if your goal,
Yeah.
future cheater, if your goal is to get the Twitch kind of fame, do it by riding those leaderboards up. I mean, people have made careers out of rising the leaderboards to get to a first place in a game, like you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you when you started playing Mario 64, you were not on top of the leaderboard, no, and you raised
Yeah.
up. That's how you make a
Yeah.
following on Twitch. But okay,
That's
next, go
it's
ahead.
all about the journey. The journey
Yeah.
is, and if you look at any inspirational video, motivational speakers, they tell you it's all about the journey, man. And it's true. The journey is the reason why you want to do more things after you're done. Like you're looking forward to the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so that's enough on that topic. Celeste community is
All right.
strong. They're awesome. They're gonna figure it out too. Next topic in the house is a new speedrun event known as Frame Fatales. I think I hope I said it correct.
Mm,
Only female speedrun event.
yeah.
Uh, I'm kind of. It's now we're in this world where if I say it's awesome, some people won't like that. If I say it sucks, people won't like that. So I'm kind of handcuffed here. I do think it's awesome though. I do think that. Here's my one thing I want to say. I hope guys, the organizers of Frame Fatales, I hope you go all out. I hope every commentator is a female. I hope every runner is a female. I hope everything about it is female. Because I think if you want to embrace this idea, go all the way. Right. That's what I hope. But Cheese,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. No. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would go as far as saying I think the like in GDQs and ESAs, for example, the the hosts and the donation readers and stuff, the female ones, I think are way better than the male ones. I think from what the ones that I know, they're so good at that kind of stuff. They have to have them. They have to be all female all the way through.
Yeah.
And I think it's about time, man. I think it's about time that a lot of people always say, why aren't there so many female speedrunners? Well, the truth is there probably are. A lot of them might have smaller streams. Obviously, there's a way higher male population percentage.
Yeah.
If you look at the demographics, it's speedrunning, right?
Yeah.
But that's normal in every game. That's normal in gaming, right?
Yeah.
It's more male dominated. So having an event to highlight the entire female community in speedrunning is, I think, perfect to get them out there and show the girl power in speedrunning.
Yep.
So I can't wait for it.
That should be cool. That's coming up. Don't have the date exactly, but maybe we'll place it in there. But go check that out for sure. Okay, so next.
Shout outs to my personal friends, I must say, Phantasma, Zaltis, and a few others that will be taking part in that event. I hope they do really well. I know they will. So
there you go, guys. All right, so now it is time for us to get to our roundtable with Big Simp, with Milo, and yeah, we're gonna have a little highlight package, and then we're gonna jump into a roundtable all about pace. So stay tuned for that.
Paul Champ.
I think it's because he saw I said I waved at the monitor instead of waving at. See, I feel like he's looking into my soul right now. I'm being judged.
The viewers at home probably feeling the same way. Very, very stable face. The quick switches in the back room. Somebody having a lot of fun with that video.
Meantime, Vlad.
Ooh, Vlad just a little bit. I'm not sure what happened there because
What was that?
Wait,
What was that? Yo.
what kind of improv move? What?
I approve of all of that. Yo.
Which Vlad has paid Shy Kitty off because he's either going to make Vlad's life very easy or a little bit of a monka.
I mean, at the same time, I'm pretty sure that Sushi's going to put up a very strong fight
Oh,
to make sure that
yeah.
this is not going to happen. Oh, okay, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, what is this?
Okay, well, gonna cut to us.
And that's basically because the camera will do this slow pan towards a particular spot before proceeding.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness, Stravos, very, very close to death there, but a very good save.
And both of them hitting that target bubble at the same time. They will be lining up for targeted right. This is going to be huge. They have to get this if they want a chance at winning. And both of them getting it at the exact same time. My God, this is the perfect sync happening at Vector Brutal in this race. I cannot believe I'm seeing this right now, Dangerous.
What better way to see this in the grand finals? A perfect sync on this Robo Brutal fight, going into the Moon Kingdom,
This
exactly
is
tied.
literally the definite.
Ticking. It's definitely ticking. Well, actually, not so much. Got time stopped.
The
Wow.
backflip strats from D whatever outsmarted the
Beautiful.
Thwomp.
Oh my god, I've never seen that in my
Beautiful.
life. Busting out the secret strats, D whatever. Ready for anything. Oh,
Now-
look at this.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there's any time for hype, the time is now. Let's get hyped up, going into bits.
I'm going to use this to clip through this guy. And now I can leave the forest early. And so that pretty much skips Deku Tree, but I do need to be...
So time is going to be coming up here in just a little bit. Time.
That was a flawless run.
That's a world record, baby. 41:19. I PB'd by a minute and 40 seconds, I think.
Familiar with the Smashbox, or if you've heard of it, it's basically like a fight stick setup. Siglemic has whipped it out, and he's got a nunchuck plugged in as well.
There he goes. Here he goes.
A
Pixel
different
walking.
method of cannonless.
Mashing on the... And he's
Oh,
made it.
Yeah, he's in there. He's in there.
So that is only possible on that Smashbox. The button he was mashing was up on control stick. You cannot do that on a normal control stick.
All right, guys, welcome to the GSA/Pace Roundup Roundtable here. I am ALTInsider with my co-host, Cheese Coon. Also with Big Simp, Simply, and another organizer, Mr. Milo. And I guess usually we do kind of a not so much of a podcasty style. Well, there's kind of no other way to do this one because I got 3 guys from GSA here. I'm kind of going to be the one throwing the questions. They're going to give their opinions from, what do we like to be there? And I'm hopefully going to add some stuff from the viewer's perspective because obviously I was not there, sadly, rip. So I guess let's start with Cheese here. Give us your overall thoughts, right? Good points, bad points, anything you want to say now. What were your kind of, we're less than a week out. What are your thoughts now?
Wow, where do I start? Well, I guess good points are always nice to start with. Okay, well, first things first, as I noticed, as a person attending the event, as opposed to someone organizing the event, I felt an immediate sense of comfy. It's a comfy vibe, right? It's a smaller event. Obviously, it's our first event. 150 attendees or so in total. It's a much smaller event, a much smaller space, but the space were taught perfectly for the size of the event as well. It was a small space of, we had one big practice room and then the stage room, and then that kind of like fit perfectly, so it was not a lot of walking around. Everything was compact, nice and compact. If you wanted to practice and to do some fun races with friends, you could do that. And then right next door was the big stage where all the magic happened. The lighting, the production, everything was amazing. Like, of course, that came from VD Bootcamp's help. We couldn't do without them. And it was just obviously a new experience because it's competitive speedrunning. It's the first time almost anybody has seen or experienced that. And being part of it as well as a competitor was just, it was literally like starting a whole new chapter in speedrunning. I've never felt that before because competitive speedrunning at a live setting and with playing for money, people watching you for a different reason, was just a whole other experience in itself. And it was so amazing. It just made it, coming back home, I have so much more motivation. And I can't wait for like season 2, and I hope other competitors feel the same way.
Yeah, I want to say too before we get to the next good points. I want to say from viewers' perspective that feeling. I already told Cheese about this in the intro of the show. That was something I was not expecting to be this wave of like, wow, this is real, man. Then I told, it kind of sounds stupid, I know maybe, but when those stats came up before the match happened, I was like, oh my god, this is competitive speedrunning in a live event, and it was just, the emotion I had was incredible. I mean, I can't. It's like she said, it just took over the potential of what it could be, and that was a very special feeling. I haven't felt that since when the first events of speedrunning happened. I was like, wow, this is a whole new thing. That was really crazy for me. But I guess let's start with good points. So, Milo, let's go with you. What are your kind of good point takeaways from the whole event?
That we stayed perfectly on time and nothing went wrong.
Yeah.
No, that nothing was canceled was the main thing. We wanted everyone there to have a good time, for it to be memorable for the people that came out to the first one, who honestly, they kind of like took a chance on us, right? The people that chose to work with us and the people that chose to come out. So for them to have a good time and then for nothing to be canceled, like I really would have been pretty disappointed if somebody flew out or made the trip to do a showcase run or something, and then we were so behind schedule or like there were so many technical problems that we couldn't figure out that we would have had to cancel whatever it is that they were doing. So thankfully that didn't happen. So those were the 2 highlights for me.
All right, cool. How about you, Sam?
The good points. It was just like, I was glad it was so much fun. Like the first day, I was still getting, recovery from the jet lag and whatnot, and I felt kind of tired. And honestly, I was like, man, I don't know about this. Like running an event, I just felt overwhelmed with everything, and I felt like people weren't really having fun. But that was mostly just in my head. But by the end of the event, I was just so happy that everyone, like all of the reviews, were very positive, and everyone was like, man, this was so sick. It was so much fun. So yeah, I'd say the people having a good time there as well was good.
Cool.
Yeah, just seeing so much people like saying right after, even like the highlight for me of the event, and I think Milo would share the similar feeling, was when after we did the outro on stream, you could see us like doing the outro, thanking everyone for coming. Right after that, a group of like 30 people there, a lot of them were competitors as well, just crowded around me and Milo. And they were just literally just giving feedback. They were just spitting out what they thought of the event and just asking tons of questions. And that showed that they were so excited to see what's coming, and to see like to attend the next event. They're asking us like, yeah, what about this? Like, what's gonna happen when we do this? Or like, are you guys gonna do this? I love this about the event. Are you guys gonna do this at the next event? And being able to give feedback and answer the questions to our followers and our supporters live in front of them, to me was like the most successful feeling of what we've done so far in GSC. It was the most fulfilling thing. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it was cool. That was definitely a cool visual. The outro was really cool to see. I guess I want to talk about a few points within the weekend, obviously. And obviously, if you listen to my stuff at all, the Siglemmic run was something that was very special and something that I was looking forward to a lot. And that came off really cool. I mean, just the names that were in the chat, I'm not going to remember everybody, but there was like Fuzziness, Summoning Salt, Big John, obviously. I mean, the names that were in the chat, I was like, guys, I was trying to tell people in the chat, this is a big deal. And a lot of people in the chat were like, who's Siglemmic? Because everyone's talking about Siglemmic. And that was all the chat was saying. It's like, Sig. And, you can tell who didn't know about speedrunning. They're like, who's Siglemmic? But it's like, that was just awesome. Unfortunately, he got 4th place, but it didn't matter, really, at the end. Part of us were hoping.
First, as far as everyone's concerned.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a moment. I guess simply I go with you. What was that like being in the room? What was the vibe going on at that time?
It felt unreal, like surreal, meeting him for the first time and then having him really go up there and do a run for pace. It was just like, because he was my idol type thing. Like, I would have never gotten into speedrunning if it wasn't for Sig. I was actually looking for League of Legends streams because people had moved from, this was like GG something, like some failure of a streaming site, and they moved to Twitch.
Yeah.
And I stumbled upon Sig, and I was like, oh my god, this is sick. So I never thought I'd meet him. I never really thought I'd see him in person, and so it was just really surreal. Was the feeling I had.
That was awesome. I guess Cheats, could you share with us? I know he's a very quiet guy and doesn't share a lot of opinions. He doesn't share his thoughts that much. But did you get a chance to talk to him after? What was his? Did he say about what he thought about it all, or did he sound like he's maybe might do it again or something? What did any vibe there?
Gladly. Yes, he did actually. I think it was on the last day, on the last night when we were in our hotel room getting ready to sleep, and of course Simply was doing his thing, making everyone laugh, just being Simply. And Sig mentioned, he said that like this is wow, this is a ton of fun, yeah. And then he was already asking like, when are you guys gonna do the next pace and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like best case scenario, he would definitely sign up for the next event. So.
Yeah, I'll jump in very quick and say that, and I hope Sig doesn't mind me sharing this, but I had a good while to talk to him privately, and he said that it was like his favorite event ever, other than like his first GDQ, where he like got to meet all of his speedrunning friends and for the first time, which I imagine was definitely really special. But to hear that from him, that it was like his favorite event and that he loved the idea and everything about it was really cool.
Awesome.
Not only that, but people like Etscape. People like ZFG, even ZFG told me like this is like such an exciting event because of it's a new way of a speedrunning, the whole competitive feel. All of this was like they didn't imagine that sitting down watching this competitive speedrunning and the grand finals and this kind of stuff would be so exciting and such like I guess a revelation in speedrunning is like, wow, okay, now we have this thing that's starting up. It's a whole different thing, and they can't wait for it.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, Cheese, I want to ask you about the competitive side of being a competitor, like the only competitor of us here. So what was that like, being on the grand finals, the big stage? I mean, that was a very hype moment. That was probably the hypest moment of the whole thing, was that finals. And the second game was close, and then unfortunately you got that fall. So, I mean, what was that like for you?
Again, it was like I didn't know how to feel because I've never been in that situation, and it opened my mind up into a whole new. It's like I have a whole new thought process going on since I've come back home. It's like and perspective of speedrunning, because now I have something else to look forward to in speedrunning that I've never looked forward to. For 5 years I've been speedrunning. Now I could actually be like I could keep speedrunning for a different incentive. Like I don't have to stop playing Mario because I'm looking forward to the next season, and that would always be a reason for me to keep playing Mario and keep speedrunning as well. And being on the stage was like, I just remember all the Smash Bros tournaments I've seen on streams. Right, I would just remember how I would see PPMD and Mango step up to the stage and I always used to imagine what they were feeling, and that's exactly what happened to me. It was like almost like nostalgia. It was almost like a deja vu. Like, oh my god, I'm stepping up to the stage now in a grand final situation, but for speed running, like who would have thought? And of course, I lost the race, but I was so what's the word? Enthralled by that experience. I didn't care if I was winning or losing. At points, there were points that I didn't even realize I was like losing. I was just playing the game, and I was just in my head. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. And to add to that, the fact that the races were so close made it even more exciting. That I don't think it could have planned out better.
Yeah. In terms of like luck, sporting events, esports or real sports, is always a kind of a luck factor, right? If the Super Bowl is 75-3, it's not going to be very exciting. But luckily, most of the matches were really close and cool. And I want to say one thing that really added to it. Most GSA events, you obviously don't have the camera. Most GSA, what's it called, leagues and tournaments, you don't have the camera there to see the people playing. You just have the commentator speaking, and that is so much of that ad. It adds so much, right? To see when Punke he was in the lead comfortably, and then he fell in the lava, and you can just see his face, like, oh, it just really adds the drama and the feel of the event. It was awesome. I can't stop saying it's awesome, but it was just really awesome. But I guess we should talk about if we're going to have another pace, hopefully someday. I guess we talk about things we might do differently, right? So, Milo, I want to go to you. Is there any kind of thing in your head? You mentioned before a few things, but what do you think was the biggest thing you hope to upgrade for next time?
I think it would be the most apparent flaw, definitely, just like staying to the schedule as close as we can. It being our first event, we didn't anticipate to never fall behind schedule at all. But there was a point where we were like an hour and a half behind schedule. Which I was personally like disappointed with. We had done so much like preparation and like brainstorming beforehand, like all the things that could go wrong, and we did quite a bit of like practicing the day before, and still things that you just don't foresee, they pop up, and we dealt with them as best as we could. And some of them were really frustrating where like, there was some audio problem, let's say for like 30 minutes. And it was like some simple little thing that we somehow oversaw. And it was like, oh my God, like how did we not think of that? So just, I think that would be the first thing, is making sure that we are from, all of our T's crossed, I's dotted to be prepared to stay on schedule.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Simply? What do you hope to see better next time?
I hope for lanyards. I think lanyards are cool.
Yeah,
for
sure. Stamps were lit, dude. What are you talking about?
I didn't realize that we were doing stamps until like a week before, and I read that, and I was just like, no. What are we? It's like, we've got more cred now. We've got more reps, so we'll be reaching out to sponsors and should be able to snag those for next time. And another thing
quick,
I would say,
can we like explain why we had stamps? It just like lanyards are like at least customizable, like good lanyards. They just weren't in the budget, They were going to be like at least like several $100s to do like something cool, instead of just buying like a bunch of plain lanyards that would just be like somebody like writing their name on them. Like I feel like that also wouldn't have been great. So
Pace 2019 in markers.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was pretty much the reason. We just didn't have the money for them.
Understandable. It's all good. It still worked out. Nobody was really upset about that, and we had a good. We had good stamp checkers, and the front desk made sure to keep everybody's stamp fresh and visible, so that's good.
Cool.
Other than that, one other thing I had was like mini tournaments on the side that would make it to stream, and that's also partially just due to attendees. Like we didn't have that many people, but I hope to see at the next one maybe a couple of side tournaments where it's just like the finals that get streamed on the main stream, but they're going on the side is something else to see at the venue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, makes sense. I guess. What about the shoutcasting? How did you guys think about that overall? In terms of, for me, it was always pretty good. I mean, there's some people obviously are better than other people. Of course, we can't have there's gonna be different levels of shoutcasting for sure. But what do you guys think overall of that? I guess I'll go to you first, Cheese.
Consistency was something that I immediately noticed. And if I asked a lot of people about what they thought too, and they mentioned that consistency was there. It was on point for the shoutcasting among the Celeste comms, like Electric and FC Racers, Dangers and Nimcube, Simply and Thorough. They always were consistent in how they did perform their shoutcasting. They always had the same level every time, right? And I think it's the most important thing in shoutcasting. I think Simply would definitely be able to add more on this one.
Take it, Simp.
Okay, so shoutcasting.
What is it?
Well, it's a thing. It's important to make the experience exciting. I felt really good about the comms on the last day, and it's also easier to be enthusiastic about commentating when the matches are like huge. Like obviously the league matches leading up to it were pretty big, but there were some matches where it almost didn't matter the result because the points were sort of locked in. But from my point of view, I was like fighting the being tired and trying to commentate. So
yeah,
I think in the future I'll need to get a little bit more sleep or pop some more caffeine pills in order to stay up to get it done. But it was so much fun. Like I noticed things that I would never notice over our streams that weren't live, like at a live event. Like being at a live event, I was able to really see, and it really came in that last finals match between Cheese and Punke. I was seeing the differences in the mentality from game 1 to game 2. It was like new things were clicking in my head that I had never really noticed before. And like you said, when you have the camera and you could see the players' reactions, you can really tell what's going on with them, and it's more to play off of and sort of talk about. And also another thing is being able to see live how the players are reacting to the other player, because you can't always know if the players are watching each other. But at that event, it's very obvious when they're checking to see where they are, and you could see people dropping strats and picking up strats when they needed to. And so it felt like it made a lot more to talk about and made it a lot more deep.
Yeah. And that's where all the magic is. I just want to add that's where all the magic is. I think it's being a competitor in the league format in this setting. The fact that you have to make these decisions on the spot. What strats you're gonna go for if you feel comfortable doing this in a race. And it happened to me personally in the grand final. On the second race, I was having a better beginning. I was catching up and I was staying on par with Punky, and then I made a very silly mistake in CCM and it dropped me like 15 seconds. And it was after you warp in 100 coin, I do this crazy triple jump into the chimney.
Oh, yeah.
And Punky does a lot easier strat where it's just you single jump and get up there. And I decided to do this strat saying, I got this. I always do this in runs, and I almost never mess it up. And it's true. I have a very small fail rate, but it's so much more of a sketchy strat to do in that setting that saves such little time. Making that decision of like being smart and saying, let me just keep my just keep level-headed and just focus on trying to catch up, and let's just play it safe. Who cares about 0.3 seconds? But I didn't say that. I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna go for it. Messed it up, and then lost a lot of time as a result. Like those kind of things. It's so insane how much how it tests you in that sense.
One more point about the camera there. I just not everyone watching the streams know everything about Mario 64, right? They know this trick. Lots of people don't. And having that camera there again, I was watching with my wife when you're the finals, and you did that one mistake, and you put your head in your hands, your head in your hands, like, oh my god, and it made it such. My wife knew, like, oh, is she's gonna lose now? I was like, yeah, that was a big mistake. It adds to that understanding too, of understanding how big this stuff is, right? How big the moves are, and it really. I know we were talking about before, but just the cameras having it was just so awesome, and that was just really a good point. A real plus of having a live event for sure. I guess Milo, to you. So I want to know about how, in terms of layout, stream layout, right? Anything you work like thinking to change next time, or are you pretty happy with how it was set up, the angles and everything?
I know there were some comments about maybe like the camera angles being better for next time to like get the runners and for the showcase runners as well, because we had like similar camera angles for everybody to get more of their like facial expression, or like maybe zoomed in a bit more, or just a different angle in general. That was maybe the main thing that we saw about that. But then the layouts themselves, we haven't gotten too much feedback on that. I know there was somebody in your Discord, ALT, that was like, well, yeah, I have like a bunch of pointers, especially for the layouts, but I'll like wait until I get my feedback. So, I'm sure we'll get some from that person.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Did either of you three guys, maybe before, during, or like even now, looking back, in terms of our layouts, like you see any like fatal flaws, or like that definitely needs to change for next time? Because we maximized the game feeds. We thought the timers and the names were very apparent. We tried to keep the size of the cameras consistent across all the competitive overlays. Anyway, the showcase ones were bigger just because there was less to do, or less to fit in. But what else? And then we had to get the sponsors on there, so I think we did an all right job.
What I've already thought of is, and what we already talked about is like adding donation tickers and stuff consistently, so you could see like who's donated and the amount that's been donated, that kind of stuff. People talked about that would have been cool to have. And also, well, another big one is like, setting up periods. What are we going to do during intermissions? And as you probably saw, there were periods where we had like 30, 45 minutes of setting up time, and we already talked about what we would like to do for the next events during setup time, having all sorts divided. You could do so many things during that time. We're just trying to figure out what we can do next time to not have exciting content during intermissions too.
Yeah, I guess the easy one for me would be interviews with people there is always a thing you could do. Walk around cameras, something you can do there. I guess simply before I go on with more of that, what do you think about the layout? Any comments there? Stream layout?
Yeah, Cheese pretty much touched on it. Donation tickers. I have some ideas for in terms of like coding things that you can make that would be cool to have, like maybe stats periodically pop up on the screen while a race is going on, so that it adds a little bit more to the race.
Dude.
I think would be cool. Yeah,
replays.
Replays.
Yeah, that would be hype. That would be definitely hype. If you could replay that mistake or that awesome thing, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
That would be really cool.
That would make commentating much easier too,
idea.
right? Let's take another look at that at Siglemic doing the poll thing, whatever. That'd be pretty cool.
Hell yeah,
that'd be awesome. That was what I was going to say. My next question, Milo, is spoiled here because Cheese spoiled it. Thanks, Cheese. But the setup times, right? What do we do? Is that how? Is that the setup times? That's how long it's going to take. I mean, we can just assume that's how long it's going to take. So we got to fill that time, or is making them shorter the ultimate goal, or is that kind of it has to be that long?
They definitely don't have to be that long, especially not 30, 40 minutes. Maybe like the time that it physically takes to, move the CRTs or like change the how many people are playing, or, the lines of audio, between people on stage being commentators, for the showcase runs and them not just wanting game audio, stuff like that. That should only take like, if someone's there ready to do it, like 5, maybe 10 minutes at most. If there are, for example, there was a couple instances where, certain runners wanted, like that we had set everything up, brought their a CRT up there, and then they were like, I don't like the CRT. Like it has, like the colors aren't right or whatever. And then we tried a second one and it's like, I don't like this one either. It's like, okay, well, we're doing our best here, but like, it's eating away at the time, and so people might not think about stuff like that, which is kind of unavoidable because you're not just going to tell the runner like, we don't care, like play with the CRT, because it's going to affect their performance. So it's understandable that they request things like that. But yeah, 5-10 minutes is probably what it should take. When it's more than that, it's usually because there's some kind of issue. So
it's worth mentioning too that it depends on if we're setting up. If we just had to run on a CRT with an N64 and we have to set up for a game that's going to be played on PC, like it's going to take more setup time than if it was just another game on CRT on N64 again. You know what I mean? So
I guess for me, in terms of what I like seeing the layout, I do prefer the straight on camera because I feel that shows the emotion even more, right? You get that right on look. If you like Overwatch League, they do that, and you can really see the boom, it's right there. But like we said, Steve was telling me that you couldn't do that because there was the big lights or something on the front, so that's why you couldn't do that. So I mean, it makes sense.
Not only that, but there was literally like a pool of wires behind the table where we would have had that tripod go.
Okay.
It wasn't with the resources that we had there. It just wasn't physically possible to get a better camera angle. But that is something that we could work out logistically in the future. I'm sure it's possible.
That's something everyone likes different things though, for sure. Like it is normal for the Smash Brothers community to have that side angle. So it's not like it's unheard of side angle, but
we also thought it was cool how the runners whenever during the showcases as well, how they were kind of like facing each other and how they were facing inwards, kind of as if they're their game feeds were like going head to head, and so were they, sort of thing.
Mhm.
And it kind of was almost like that. Well, the tables were set up kind of diagonally, and one
Yeah.
was facing this way, and the other one was like this. So it would just like go like this. And I could see Punkay next to me, and we could literally just look at each other, and you could see each other, but we couldn't see their gameplay on the TV. So it was kind of like an intimate kind of like connection where we could see each other pretty close, but then to see the gameplay, we had to look on the big screen. So it's like it all depends on, what your concentration is. You have to prioritize the gameplay, obviously, but you had those elements to it as well that made it much more dynamic as well, which I liked it a lot.
That's cool.
And the day before, so our other priority was to have tables big enough to fit the 4 CRTs, because that was going to be our event or thing going on that weekend that required the most kind of surface area in terms of setup, was obviously the 4-way 120 race. So we wouldn't want to mid-event have to like swap tables around and stuff. So we went with like really long TVs, but then I also had in mind, and I would like to somehow work this into the future. I had in mind that all the way up until the event, the league runners always had the option to either turn on the stream or be in the Discord call where the restreamer is video sharing their opponent's game feed. They could see how their opponent is doing, or they had the option to turn all that off and just focus on their gameplay. Being at the event, obviously the first option is very easy. You just look up at the big screen right in front of you and you see how your opponent's doing. But there wasn't really a way to ensure that the runners, if the runners that had been used to and opting to sort of just focus on their own gameplay, there wasn't really a way to ensure that they could, which is something I'd really like to explore, because I'm sure there must have been at least 1 or 2 runners that were like, man, I really wish I didn't have all these distractions. I wish I could just focus.
You could say that's part of playing sports live, right? Like the crowd's annoying, right? The crowd can scream, scream whatever they want. It's kind of part of it. I see both sides.
I would definitely say that's definitely something that, yeah, it's in every sport. Even when I was playing music, like when I was playing in a band and you rehearse in your bedroom and you feel all comfortable and you want to play on a show, you have to play in front of a crowd. You can't escape that. So you have to get used to that feeling of, now I'm going to play in front of 100 people.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's part of the gaming world as well.
Maybe from then the, I guess, solution to that is because the problem I can see lies in runners being used to one thing, right? Like in terms of strategy, like not thinking about how the other person's doing at all, and playing based off of that, and then having to not really have that option in the live setting. So maybe the solution then is to kind of express that from the get-go and make it clear, like in the grand finals or at the event, this will be something that's kind of like around you, so just something to keep in mind. Maybe just communicating that better, or
I think that's a better way, because that also adds to the strategy, right? And what speedrunning needs is more strategy in terms of these kind of runs.
Sure.
So it's not like just put your head down, do the run as fast as you can. If you have that other side of, well, he's a little bit ahead of me, so I'm gonna do something different, that's kind of adds to the interest, I think. One thing to
be fair is one thing I just want to add to finish that point. To be fair is, at least we know for sure that when the crowd and the screen and stuff is there, it is equally as difficult, if you want to say. It is equally as difficult for both runners. It's shared equally. So both of the racers have that experience of the crowd and the screen. It's not just like one person is disadvantaged. So at least we know that both of them would always have the same setting. So at least it's a consistent approach, and it's not like one player has to hear the crowd and the other doesn't.
No, of course, it's less about the crowd. If you're going to a live event, there's going to be a crowd. I think that's implied, but it's more just about like them being to like actually strategize mid-run, just focusing on how they're doing and not because there were tons of runners that did that throughout the league and they didn't have the option to at the event. That's all I'm trying to like think about.
Mm-hmm. I got one thing a small suggestion for next time, because we already talked about awesome stuff. Replays would be awesome. Stats showing up would be awesome. Getting that ticker on there with donations would be awesome. I want to see a commentator's camera, right? Sometimes I'm sure when, Simply's popping off about something, that would be kind of cool to see too. A small addition, but I think it would be something to look into.
Just kind of pops in.
Yeah,
like...
they show like oh my god, look at that, it's crazy. That'd be kind of cool. I guess to kind of what do we go from here, right? GSA representatives. I guess I ask you, Milo, what's kind of on the horizon here? How are we going to use this momentum, that pace, obviously created?
Yeah. So right now our format is 4 months of league play, including the grand finals and all that, and then 2 months of off season to kind of do different like one-off tournaments, that don't necessarily have to be entire leagues, and also to run the qualifier tournaments for the following leagues to give new players a chance to get in there, and then again 4 months of league play and then 2 months of off season. So that's how like our 12-month yearly format is kind of structured right now. And so like our short term goal is to have events for the finals of every league. I think that's kind of the first thing we want to establish, as well as be part of as many other established events like Smash and Splash that we're doing in a few weeks, or whenever it is at the time that this is airing. Yeah, and just get more people's eyes on what it is that we're doing and speedrunning in general. But yeah, I think the main goal going forward is the biannual events for the finals of the leagues.
Okay, so that's a let me be sure I understand that. Biannual, which means 2 times a year, right?
That's
Ooh,
right.
Awesome. Okay.
So I guess to kind of maybe not create too much anticipation for season 2, it's not looking like we will have one for season 2, just because we've already spread ourselves really thin, and we're kind of reformatting a bunch of things for season 2 already. So we don't want to take off more than bite off more than we can chew. But season 3 is when we're eyeing for the return of pace.
Cool. Okay. Let's kind of, to finish on a positive, a great positive, I think. Let's go around and say what was everyone's favorite single moment, right? You can't say, well, it was fun or anything like that. You got to say one single part. That could be in terms of on the stream or off the stream, to have it off stream. Anything you want to share. Let's share your most special memory, I guess. So simply, let's start with you. What was your favorite one thing about Pace that happened when you were there?
My favorite thing about Pace. Oh, there's so many good moments. Goodness gracious. I think I actually this was like the cause of a lot of my tiredness and stuff like that, but I kind of enjoyed it. I was doing the night shift tech. Like, we didn't have anybody for tech during the night. We had somebody who was helping us out during the day, and none of us really knew what was going on for the tech. Like, they were sort of carrying us, and so I took the initiative to figure out like what was going on with tech so that we could keep it going during the night, and that was my job like for the entire event, was that 12 hours in the night. And just meeting all the people, getting them set up, and then just making sure that it's running smoothly was probably my favorite part.
Cool. Let's go to you, Cheese Coon. Oh, go ahead. Come on.
I just on that note, I really want to emphasize that Simply and Limcube as well helped out during the night. D Whatever, of course, and Cheese as well. Like, all of us really put in a ton of hours into the night shifts, and then Simply and Lim had to commentate in the day. D Whatever had to compete and keep filming, and Cheese had to compete as well. So just like huge shout outs to you guys. I want that to be known that, in the dead hours of the night, you guys were not sleeping or having fun or anything. You were making sure that event kept afloat, alongside me and Steve, of course. But yeah.
That's cool. Now we know why Cheese lost, huh? So Cheese, what was your favorite moment?
It's just saying, right? It really was like that. Of course, I was so nervous about not being too tired and performing really badly that there were like 2 nights where I got to stay up until like 5 a.m. and I was trying to do whatever they need me to do, start the race, adjust volumes. And they know when it comes to tech, I'm the worst person to work with. When I see cables, when I see like mixers, I instantly go crazy. I can't. And I'm so glad that, again, Simply was the MVP in terms of the tech. Like, without Simply, we wouldn't have had a night stream. It would have been Milo trying to figure out everything and running the stream at the same time. But anyway, with that said, my highlight, apart from what I mentioned, like at the outro when everyone was just there, like giving us feedback, asking us questions, and us being able to, give them information and inside scoops on what's to come, like what we're planning ahead and stuff like that. I think one of the because most of the event I was kind of nervous as to how VG Bootcamp would have reacted to our event, right? Because the event space, the venue is awesome. The venue is perfect. Everyone says they love the venue space, and most people, they were saying like, dude, you guys should have Pace here all the time. This venue is so perfect. And if we have more attendees next time, we could even have more of the venue space, and it could just be more and more. It has some of that. The venue has so much more space that we can use for a few thousand attendees could easily fit in that space in total. So like at the end of the event, having the guys from VG Bootcamp, Gamer and Apostle kind of like coming to us and telling us like, holy crap, you guys are awesome, you guys did such a good event, and them kind of telling us like right away, like, we want to continue working with you guys, like we love you guys and we want to stick with you guys. That them telling that was kind of like a like the success, the seal of success for Pace to me was like, okay, the first one is a success, and now these guys say they want to continue working with us, and so that's what we could have asked for, so everyone is happy.
Cool. All right, Milo.
So for me, the main thing was this sort of that kind of caught me off guard, I guess. This is real. I guess that I didn't think about going into the event. This togetherness between the competitors. After almost every match, at least most of the ones that I saw, the runners, after they, kind of duked it out in front of thousands of people, they hug each other. They go up to each other and they're like, man, like, because they're in the same boat, right? It's not like they're physically, I guess, interacting with each other, but they're both going through the same thing. They both start and finish at the same place. And I think there's this real understanding between the runners like that. So there was that. But then in regards to that, there was one specific moment where in the final of the Celeste match, in the grand final of the Celeste League, where it was TGH versus Msushi, in Celeste, at the beginning of the game, you can select your file name. You can type whatever you want. And for one of the matches, they typed the two commentators' names, one for each runner, of course. And then in another one of the matches, they typed the two runners that didn't make it to the final. Oh. And that really got to me. That says so much about, I think about that group of people and runners in particular, of course, but then just speedrunning in general. There's this huge sense of collaboration and togetherness that I thought was really special. So that's something that I definitely want to keep in mind going forward.
Something that the people that weren't so sure about competitive speedrunning with the prizes involved, some people thought that would go away, right? That feeling of, hey, speedrunning is a team effort, right? But obviously, it's still going strong. That's good for sure. Yeah. I guess for me, some might think I would say the SIG run was my favorite, but really because I was unexpecting it when the first race started, right, and just that feeling of, wow, this is new, right? This is something that is so awesome. I can't put into words how much it felt for me that this is happening right now, guys. This is speed running in a competitive event that's live. It was just that feeling of, wow, this is new ground, guys. And that's what was my favorite moment. That the emotion I felt that I was not expecting. In that level, I was just taken. Just took over. That night watching the next race was so fun. It was awesome. So good job, guys, on that one. Before we go, we could let you go now, of course, with a happy ending, but no, let's add something. We're gonna have you guys with this or that here. So I'm gonna give you two choices here. Everyone here. Cheese, you're going to play it as well. I'll give you two choices. Have to do with pace, of course. And you tell me which one is better. There's no both. There's no neither. You got to choose one or the other one. These are all pace related here. We got three people here, so let's kind of try to burn through these. But first one, I'll start with you, Milo. I'll ask everybody too, but Milo, I'll start with you. Next pace, right? New location.
Yep.
Same location. What are you feeling right now?
Same location. I'll just say the first thing that comes to my head. Same location.
Yeah. Cheese, what do you think? Same location, new location?
Definitely the same location. It's way too good of a location. The integration between Smash and speedrunning is too perfect. And like I said, the event space is so much bigger than where we had that if the more they even told us the more attendees we have, the more space they can give us to work with. And that means that we'll have tons more setups available, tons more opportunities to run mini tournaments and stuff like Simply was mentioning, which we would love to have at any event. So definitely same location.
That's 2 out of 3.
Also,
go ahead,
Vince is there, so that's everything.
And Vince, shout outs to Vince. Vince is the tech guy.
For context, yeah, Vince is like Xanadu / VG Bootcamp's like main tech guy who like schooled us the day before and the first day, like took so many hours to explain to us how this like, huge mixer worked with all these audio channels and mixing channels and all this stuff and how the tech was set up. And yeah, it's huge shout outs to him. He was the MVP.
There you go. Simp, you finished it out. 2 out of 3 said same. What do you say?
Same location.
Same location.
Same
There you go.
location.
Same
sure.
location. Look forward to there, which is good for me because my family's in Maryland. So there you go. Next one.
Hey.
Next round of tournaments coming up, right, guys? Right, guys? Are we gonna do any new games, or are we gonna keep the same games from season 1? Jeez.
You're talking about the leagues in season 2,
Yes.
or just in general?
Yes, the leagues.
Damn.
Can you not share
Am
that?
I allowed to say anything?
You can just say new or old. Is there any new ones? You can say yes or no to that, right? New or not? Is there any new games that are yes or no? Milo, he can say that, right? Get some hype going here.
Okay. Are there any new games for season 2? I would say there's a 50% chance.
50% chance. Milo, can you confirm or deny that?
51% chance.
51% chance. Simply, can you go 52? Do I hear 52?
52% chance.
Okay. All right. Last one for me here. This or that. You got to choose one or the other one. I want to know, similar to the last question I was asked, is the next pace going to have the same format in terms of, hey, we got a top 4, bring the top 4 out here, then we do the finals there. Are you going to do the same system? You're not sure yet? Any thoughts there? Yes or no? Same system, right? Simply, what do you think?
I think that I like the system of top 4 going. I think that we should keep that, especially like with how time worked out. It all made enough room for showcases and whatnot. But in terms of what actually goes down between the 4 at the event, I think that could be up for maybe some modifications. But honestly, if it went the same way again, I'd be fine with that.
Milo.
Same thoughts. Always down to make things better. Make things better. We're open to changing stuff, but yeah, I think the general. I don't think there would be like a huge drastic change. Like it's not similar to the first one at all. So I'll just say yes.
Okay, cool. Cheese finishes out.
I would say that the format that we had for pace was, I think it worked out perfectly. Like it did work out really, really well. So I don't see why we would change it. But like, to add to the modifications thing, like I mentioned before, when we want to integrate these kind of like on-site tournaments, right, that are they're done, started and finished at the event, that kind of stuff, and then integrate that into the stream somehow, or maybe having a second stream like how ESA and GDQ does. That's something that we are trying to organize, and that would take lots of planning. But the mainstream format, I think, worked perfectly for pace, so I don't see why we would change it.
There you go, guys.
At least for now.
Oh,
So.
there you go. That was this or that. You have something to say there, Riley? Did I cut you off there?
No, that was it.
Okay, cool. All right, last thing we do, we always do ALT's insane idea, where I kind of say a crazy idea. You guys tell me your thoughts. We got 3 people here instead of just cheese now, so this is what I'm thinking about. Obviously, it's pace related, GSA related here for today because it's the special pace overview special. But okay, I'll ask Milo. You'd start with you. This is my idea. You guys listen closely here, right? This is a hot one.
Let's do it.
A future pace, maybe not the next one, but one. I want to see a week. Maybe it has to be a week. Maybe it has to be 4 days. I'm not sure. A contained tournament at a live event, right? So we see everything, right? We see the beginning. We get the top 8 players, however that is, in whatever game you want. Obviously, got to be a pretty hype game. But we see everything, right? So we see the beginning round, we see the next round, and the last day we got the big finals, right? For me, that'd be pretty hype. We see everything. There's no races that don't matter because it's all there, right? And then, you got a fat cash prize at the end there. What are your initial thoughts on that, Milo?
Hell yeah. I think that's something we'll eventually explore, and I don't see many reasons why not to do it other than, it definitely has to be enough incentive for enough of a large pool of players to be interested.
True.
That's like the main thing, is getting people there that will actually compete, and for it not to be like, the top 3 players go and then like the other players are, have like barely played or, are really low on the leaderboard or something, where it's just kind of a stomping. We definitely want it to be competitive.
Good point.
So,
good point.
Yeah.
Jeez, I put you to sleep again. Simply your point. Your turn. What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, pretty much the same thoughts. Like that's what I want even at the next one that we do. Not for every round to be streamed necessarily though, because you might run into what Milo mentioned. But if it's a case where we have 8 of the best players and where the matches will most likely be hype even in round 1.
Cool. Cheese, close us out.
So there's some ideas that we're kind of coming up with of like just making the event a week long, right? Let's say that was to happen. We decided we are gonna make the event 7 days, and then for half of the event we'll stream. We'll have like the second half would be the league stuff, just like we had the format for this pace. But like the first half, we can do a lot of like those contained tournaments that you mentioned, or like we have on-site tournaments that are done of other games that are started and finished there and all done. And then the second half would kind of be like the league's final stuff, like how we had for pace. But then again, there's a lot of people that actually said there that they love the 4-day aspect. They love that. They thought that 4 days were perfect. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too short. So that's something that would take a long time and a lot of feedback from people in the GSA community as well as to what they would like to see too. So.
Well, there you go, guys. We are at the end of our pace special, GSA pace special. Thanks to you guys for putting it on. It really was an incredible feeling. Awesome watching everything. I really can't wait to see what happens in the future. I guess we usually do shout outs now. Simply, you have any shout outs?
Shout outs to Vince.
I knew it.
That's our guy.
Shout outs, Milo. Any shout outs? I'm sorry.
I guess I'll shout out the couple of people or groups of people that I forgot to shout out at the very end of the event. The showcase runners. Somehow I forgot to thank them, and the commentators, of course, for coming out and contributing to the event. The commentators who, the competitive stuff, who brought all the hype and, really made, there's some good quote about commentary. I don't really remember it, but it was that commentary is like what makes matches like memorable. It gives this like human relation, I guess, this voice to kind of put to the moment, other than your own, I guess, and it just kind of really adds so much to it. So yeah, the commentators, the GSA staff, of course, both I think the volunteers, the runners and commentators that weren't at the event, of course, that for throughout the 4 months of season 1, they really put in that work. And yeah, I think that's it.
Jeez.
Shout outs to Noah, who was the other guy helping with the stream and the tech as well. So Noah and Vince, the MVPs, and I would like to give a shout out to Simple Flips. Shout out to Simple Flips because he couldn't make it to pace, but he was supposed to come, but he couldn't make it at the end. And my personal shout outs to the attendees who just were so in love with what we were doing that they just had to come and watch. That the attendees that weren't doing showcases or weren't doing leagues or anything, the ones that just came to watch, they're the troopers. Shout outs to them for believing in us. So, and hope to see them in future events. Shout outs to Tina and her husband. Oh my God.
Failed
shout out. You shouldn't have started with the
Shout outs to Tina and come on, Simply. What is his Twitch name?
Calculated Fury, I believe.
Calculated Fury. I'm trying to remember his first. I think his first name was. I think it was actually Ryan. I think it's the same as yours. Oh, Brandon. I'm so sorry, but Calculated Furry. Shout out to Tina and Calculated Furry. Those guys are the best. And yeah. D whatever just added that shit out.
They tweet at us all the time.
Shout outs to Fail.
Saying how much they love the stream and stuff. So yeah. Oh, and the stats team and the restreamers as well.
Shout outs to my final shout out is to everyone that was there for sure. That was, geez, you stole mine, but everyone that was there was kind of, it's new ground, right? Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be something I want to be at? You guys are real people that are making this happen, right? You guys, the people that could be there and put their own money to see that is awesome. And everyone that watches is awesome. And more importantly, if you like this stuff, keep watching it, guys. That's what's going to keep it going, right? You can't just, well, that was fun. I'm done. Don't let it be done. It doesn't have to be done. There's more stuff all the time. So shout outs to people that will continue to enjoy this ride of competitive speedrunning for sure. Final word, I always give it to Cheese, but I guess I'll give it to someone else today. Final word to Simp.
It was so much fun, and it every day got better and better. I can't wait for the next one. Yeah.
See you next show.